Welcome, my friends of the interwebs, or should I say welcome my political friends of the interwebs. I was called out by one of my subscribers to do a video regarding what is going on in Ferguson, Missouri with the shooting of, his name is Michael Brown, I believe. So, you know, as much as I tried to avoid getting into the fray, I do kind of feel the need to say a few things. I don't typically speak on things that are racially charged just because, you know, there's no upside to it. I don't feel that there's any upside to it. I don't know that the dialogue makes a bit of difference anymore, to be honest with you. You know, so I just, I have other things I would like to talk about as opposed to racial issues. Having said that, there does come a point where you just can't ignore things. You have to speak up. And but let me start this video by saying that I do not know whether or not the shooting of Mr. Brown was justifiable. I do not know. I don't have the facts. I don't have any information to lead me to believe one way or the other in regards to whether it was a justifiable shooting or not. A good shooting or not a good shooting. I just don't know. I know there are lots of people who pretend to know, but at this point I think that's all they are actually doing. Unless you were there, unless you were actually there and you witnessed the whole thing go down, you don't know. You know, you just don't. So having said all that, right out of the gate, I'm not going to try to condemn or defend or anything the police officer that was involved in the shooting. I can't even think of his name. Now, there are some things that are bothering me that I would like to discuss. And chiefly that is the behavior of the media. Because what I have seen in the last several days is a media that is seemingly more concerned with stirring the pot, race baiting, getting people all charged up. And not just the media either, some public officials that are involved in this situation. It just, I just don't understand that. I don't think it's good for the country. First of all, the media people, and I'm just going to speak on the media people for right now. What they're doing, in my opinion, is criminal. It's inciting a riot. It's irresponsible. It's all of the above. Now, when I say the media, not all of the media. Chiefly, I'm talking about MSNBC. MSNBC, and I watch a lot of MSNBC because I like to keep an eye on what the left is doing. And right now I can tell you what the left is doing. The left in this country is trying to start some kind of a race war. They're trying to stir the pot. They're trying to, well, you know, if it bleeds, it leads. And I believe, truthfully, in my heart, they're more concerned with their ratings than anything else. The thing about MSNBC that you really should know is that they suck hind tit. They are the lowest of the low when it comes to ratings. They get their butt kicked every freaking day. And I think out of desperation, they've literally tried to create news. They've tried to create news. You know, and I'll tell you, you know, all you have to do is listen to the Reverend Al Sharpton, race baiter extraordinaire. He's been a race baiter from years, but I mean, he's from a race baiter from way back. Literally just stirring the pot. In fact, I'll give you a little bit of what I'm talking about. Okay. Now listen, I believe in, you know, the people who talk about transparency. I believe in transparency across the board. I really do. And I'll speak to the police department in a minute in regards to whether they're being transparent or not. Spoiler alert, they are not being transparent. Okay, but I mean, I look at, you know, when I listen to people like Al Sharpton talk. Let me give you an example. The first several days after the shooting, MSNBC was reporting it in a certain tone. It was unarmed black youth. They literally painted this guy out to be the kind of guy that spent his days helping little old ladies across the street while he sang church hymns. That's literally the picture they were painting about the victim of the shooting. And I'm not, when I say victim, I don't mean innocent victim, I mean just the victim, the guy that was shot. Okay, because I do not know whether he was innocent in this or not. But having said that, they were painting this picture of this, you know, poor, unfortunate black youth who was gunned down in the prime of his life by the evil stormtroopers of Ferguson, Missouri. That's the picture that they were painting, and they wanted the head of the law enforcement officer who did the shooting on a stick. On a stick. They were, listen, literally what they were trying to do, and what the race baiter Al Sharpton was trying to do, was to create a lynch mob mentality. And I'm sure it was, for the most part, it's a double win for MSNBC, because, you know, they get their ratings, and Al Sharpton gets to do what he loves to do, which is stir the pot and cause trouble. So, anyway, so it was funny because I'm listening to this whole a picture. I'm watching this picture being painted. I'm watching it being unfurled, and I noticed certain things. And at some point, the police department, the Ferguson Police Department, for better or for worse, they say to themselves, "We can't. This is crazy because the media is literally driving public opinion on this, and we need to get the point out that this guy that was shot was not this you know, bathed in glory, you know, halo wearing upstanding youth of the black community. He had literally on the same day, earlier that day, committed, I guess committed would be the right word, a strong arm robbery at a convenience store. And for those of you who do not know what strong arm robbery is, first of all, this brown guy, he's what, over 6 foot tall and 300 pounds. He's a big guy. A strong arm robbery is basically you're using your strength to brutalize somebody and robbing them, and taking what is rightfully theirs. And in this case, he went into a convenience store, and it looked to be an Indian proprietor. Not Feathers. Okay, and he went in, he grabbed a box of cigars and decided he wasn't going to pay for them, and walked out. So apparently he was taking a break between walking old ladies across the road and singing church hymns to go get himself a box of cigars. so basically he takes his cigars. The clerk tried to interfere with that and basically tell him, you know, you need to pay for these, and he manhandled them. That's exactly what happened. And that's where the strong arm robbery comes in. But, you know, to listen to the Reverend Al Sharpton, the race baiter Al Sharpton, talk about it, he called it simple shoplifting. You know, and he basically claimed that the police department was trying to muddy up the waters or put a smoke screen up by releasing this this photo, or this surveillance camera footage of the victim of the shooting, you know, shoplifting. But you know what Reverend Sharpton either is too stupid to know, or he doesn't care, and truthfully he doesn't care. He knows, is that once you lay your hands on somebody in the commission of shoplifting, it then becomes strong arm robbery. That's exactly what it becomes, which is a huge deal. It's a major deal. It's not just shoplifting. So why is that important? Why is that important? Because the left-wing media, the MSNBC media, literally was trying to whip up into a froth this community over. To be honest with you, I don't know this, but I think in the end, support for this not such a really good guy. You know, I watched that surveillance video. If you get your news from MSNBC and you just happen to fumble onto this video, you owe it to yourself to look at the surveillance video of the strong arm robbery committed by Michael Brown. You owe it to yourself, because you're not seeing that on MSNBC. You will not see that on MSNBC. It will not be shown there. They would rather feed you a whole barrage of you know, how, you know, Michael Brown was just this, he was just this choir boy, and he was just gunned down. I mean, they spin all that, and the whole no justice, no peace thing, but they don't show the whole picture. And the whole picture is, if that kid, young man, whatever you want to call him, he was 18 years old, I guess, acted toward the cop like he acted toward the clerk of that store, then you know, you draw your own conclusions. Like I said earlier, I don't want to chime in on whether I think that the shooting was justifiable or not. You know, but I will tell you that surveillance, that video store surveillance of the robbery that Michael Brown had committed that day, was powerful. It was powerful. It completely decimated every argument that the MSNBC and the left had been making about this guy. You know, and when you listen to the story that the police officer told, his account of the event, you know, I watched that guy in that store turn around and charge back at the convenience store clerk. I don't know if he was on something. I don't know if he was mentally ill. I don't know if he was just a, you know, a evil person. But I do know one thing. He literally, and I'm sure, scared the hell out of that clerk. He's a big man. You know, he's a big man. So, you know, but when I watch the media just stirring the pot, now Al Sharpton and the Reverend Jesse Jackson just stirring the pot, I think to myself, these people, this media outlet, this MSNBC media outlet, is culpable for the damage that's been done in Ferguson, literally, because they are part and parcel and part of the problem, and literally have instigated rioting. And for what? For what? When you're only telling part of the story and that happens to be something that's going to get a bunch of people worked up, why are you doing that? You're not doing it in the name of journalism, because in the name of journalism, you would have been fair and balanced when it came to reporting that. But you weren't. You know, and here's the other thing too. This bothers me a lot. When I hear people yell and chant, no justice, no peace. They have this preconceived notion of what justice is. In their mind, justice is, okay, in their mind, justice is this law enforcement officer be charged and hung the same day. Make no mistakes about that, because if he was tried and was acquitted, they'd be right back to the writing, literally. So what we have is a mob, what we have is a lynch mob mentality going on. You have people who are demanding that this police officer be literally hung. And if we were to leave them to their own devices, that's exactly what they would do. Now, is it their fault, or have they been fed a stream of bullshit from the media? And I believe that to be the case. Michael Brown, from what I can tell, and you know what, I don't have enough information. I'm basing this solely on a surveillance video of him pulling a robbery, committing a robbery that day, and I'm basing it on his physical actions in the store towards the clerk, who wanted him obviously to pay for the cigars. I looked at the actions of Michael Brown, and they were scary. Now apparently the store clerk won't talk because he's worried that the community will burn down his store. That's where we're at with that. Because I would love to hear, to be honest with you, in the spirit of transparency, in the spirit of information, I would love to hear from that clerk. I would love to hear his thoughts on Michael Brown that day as he was being robbed by him. I would love to know that. I would absolutely love to know what was going on in his mind as this 300-pound guy was assaulting him and robbing his store. I would love to know his personal views on Michael Brown. I'd love to know that, but we're not going to know that because that store clerk is scared to death. Because the mob has been whipped up into a frenzy by MSNBC and other media outlets. Let's make that clear, other media outlets. But the one that I've watched the most is MSNBC. And MSNBC employs race baiters. MSNBC has a show for the Reverend Al Sharpton, who likes to be called Reverend when he's not running for something. You know, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just, you know, these things bother me. They bother me because they're not healthy for the country. They bother me for a lot of reasons, and I'm sorry, but the media has a vested interest in stirring the pot here because it makes for good ratings. Now, let's talk about Barack Obama's role in this whole thing. First of all, he should have no role in this whole thing. I will tell you this. You know what? Let me go back just a little bit, because the mob on one day actually made some demands. They were asked, what will it take to get you to stop vandalizing, looting, throwing Molotov cocktails, and generally acting like a third world country or something out of, you know, Palestine. And what they said was, We want the cop to be arrested and convicted. Okay, has to be convicted. That was it. Arrested and convicted. And I believe sentenced probably. I don't know if they went on as far as what kind of sentence he should get, but I'm assuming, since we're talking about a lynch mob, well, you know, you can draw your own conclusions as to what kind of sentence you think that they deserved, or the cop deserved. But the funny thing about it is, or I shouldn't say funny, but the interesting thing was that one of the demands, and I don't remember all the demands, but one of them kind of stuck out to me, and that demand was that they wanted jobs. Yeah. So you have a minority community, and I think somebody said that the racial makeup in Ferguson is 63% African American, and they want jobs. They want jobs. And all I could think of was, you know, when I think about Barack Obama, is that, you know, the African American community, this is a statistical fact, has suffered greatly under the policies of the Obama administration, especially when you start considering how many undocumented or illegals he's letting into this country. There's not the jobs in this country for a lot of the communities, the economically depressed communities. There are not enough jobs for them. But it makes complete sense to the Obama administration to literally open up our southern border to everyone. Who suffers the most? The people who suffer the most are the underprivileged in this country. The people who suffer the most are the poor and unemployed. That's who suffers under the Obama administration. Nobody wants to say that, but it's true. So I just find it ironic that, you know, Obama's chiming in on the Ferguson situation and sends Eric Holder. Apparently he didn't send Eric Holder, but Eric Holder showed up. Look. And by the way, the taping of this, I don't have any idea what Eric Holder accomplished in Ferguson at all. But Eric Holder, and I'm on record as saying this, is a huge racist. He hates white people with a passion, and he's a horrible human being. I think, in a lot of ways, I think that he should be tried for treason. Okay, now, but that's another video, and I've talked about that before. But so go through my archives, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the thing of it is this. You know, when I think about Barack Obama getting involved in Ferguson, Missouri, I think about, you know, you created this. You created this economic climate where the people are not happy. And they basically clung to something that they could actually act out on. And that was a young man being shot and killed in the middle of the street. Whether that was justifiable or not justifiable, it was a catalyst for getting out that aggression, getting out that, you know, the issues that they have deep inside, and most of which are being unemployed. You know, I mean, that's just true. And it's just ironic to me that the president wants to chime in on this. I mean, because it literally is his mess. It was something that he played a very big role in. You know, that's just a fact. You let me know in the comment section what you think about that. But anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling. I don't know how long this video is already. I'm sure it's very long, but you know, let me reiterate. I do not know if the law enforcement officer was justified in shooting Michael Brown. I do not know. What I do know is that Michael Brown is not the person that he's being portrayed by the left-wing media. And like I said, the proof is out there. You can see it for yourself. A surveillance video is clear as day, showing exactly the type of human being we are talking about. Okay, so when you envision Michael Brown, do not envision some nice young man walking little old ladies across the road and singing church hymns, because that's not who he was. And that's a fact. And that I can say with 100% certainty. So it is what it is. I think the media is chiefly to blame for what's going on. And I find it funny that sometimes they find themselves arrested. You know, not all the media. If you want fair and balance, you're going to have to go to Fox. I know that some of the lefties out there that are watching this are screaming right now, but the truth of the matter is that you didn't see that video of Michael Ferguson pulling that robbery off on MSNBC. Now, did you? No, you did not. You would have seen it on Fox. You would have seen it on Fox, and I'm sure you can find it on the internet. You know, and I just find it funny that you know, the people, you know, your Al Sharptons who's screaming for transparency, and I support transparency, but I find it ironic that those are the people who bitched the most when that video of, as Sharpton says, the shoplifting video was released of Michael Brown on that day. Now they didn't release it on that day, but it was of the same day that he was shot. Okay, that apparently that's not the transparency they were interested in, because they were too busy weaving their little fictional account or fictional image of what Michael Brown was. And from what I could tell, he was a thug. From what I could tell, he walked into a convenience store, took what he wanted, and when a convenience store clerk protested, he tried to harm him. Later that day, he was dead. So, not saying that strong-arm robbery deserves to get you the death penalty. I'm not saying that at all. And from all accounts, the law enforcement officer did not know that he was engaged in strong-arm robbery that day. So, you know. But what I am saying is that anybody that will walk into a convenience store and thug their way through a robbery, barehanded, being as big as he was, I don't think, you know, being confronted by a law enforcement officer was going to confront him at all. I wasn't going to concern him in the least bit. Anyway, where the hell's my remote control at? I guess I'm just going to have to say bye, turn off and edit. So, everybody have a great day. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. Hey, see ya!